In 1980, gas cost 86 cents per gallon. If gas prices had only kept up with normal inflation, gas should cost about $3.18 today. But depending on where you live, you're paying $3.50 to $4.50 per gallon. And here's what makes it even more frustrating. The price changes every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. You drive past the gas station in the morning, and it's $3.69. You drive past the same station in the evening, and it's $3.89. 20 cents difference in 8 hours. Your parents filled up their tank once a week, paid $15, and never thought about it again. You're paying $60 to $80 to fill up, checking gas price apps, timing your fill-ups to save a few bucks, and watching prices swing wildly for reasons that make no sense. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why gas prices are higher than they should be, why they change constantly, and how this system was designed to extract maximum money from you while keeping you confused and powerless. Let's start with what your parents experienced at the gas pump, because the contrast is shocking. In 1980, the average price of gas in America was 86 cents per gallon. The average car had a 15-gallon tank. That means filling up from empty cost about $12.90. $12.90. Let's put that in context. The median household income in 1980 was $17,600 per year, which is about $1,467 per month. Filling up your gas tank once a week, 4 times a month, cost about $52 total. That's 3.5% of your monthly income spent on gas. Now let's look at today. The median household income in 2025 ranges from $3.50 to $4.50 per gallon, depending on your state. Let's say $4. With a 15-gallon tank, that's $60 to fill up. 4 times a month is $240. That's 3.6% of your monthly income. So you might think, wait, that's about the same percentage as 1980. But here's the problem. That calculation assumes you're making the median income. Half of Americans make less than the median income. And cars today have bigger tanks and worse real-world fuel economy than advertised, especially trucks and SUVs, which now dominate the market. So for many people, gas is taking up 5 to 7% of their monthly income, sometimes more. But the bigger issue isn't just the total cost. It's the volatility. In 1980, gas prices were relatively stable. They might fluctuate a few cents over the course of a month, but you could generally predict what you'd pay. Your parents didn't need gas price apps, they didn't time their fill-ups, they didn't drive 5 miles out of their way to save 10 cents per gallon. They just filled up when the tank was low and moved on with their lives. Today, gas prices swing wildly. 20, 30, even 50 cents per gallon differences from one week to the next, or even one day to the next. You check GasBuddy before filling up, you wait for prices to drop, you stress about whether to fill up now or wait until tomorrow. Gas prices have become something you have to actively manage and strategize around. Your parents spent about the same percentage of income on gas, but they didn't think about it constantly. You spend similar percentages, but it feels like way more because of the volatility, the constant price changes, and the feeling that you're being gouged and there's nothing you can do about it.
So what happened between 1980 and today that made gas prices not just higher, but wildly unpredictable? There are 5 major changes that transformed how gas is priced. Change number 1. Global oil market became dominated by speculation. In 1980, oil prices were largely determined by supply and demand. Oil producers pumped oil, refineries turned it into gas stations sold it to consumers. Prices reflected actual physical supply and demand. But starting in the 1990s, and especially in the 2000s, oil became a financial commodity traded on futures markets. Investment banks, hedge funds, and speculators started buying and selling oil futures, which are contracts to buy oil at a future date. These financial players don't actually want the oil, they're just betting on price movements to make profit. This financialization of oil means that prices are no longer just about physical supply and demand. They're about speculation, market sentiment, geopolitical fears, and financial manipulation. If hedge funds think there might be a supply disruption in the future, they buy oil futures, which drives up the price today, even though there's no actual shortage yet. Studies have shown that speculation adds anywhere from 20 to 40% to the price of oil beyond what supply and demand fundamentals would justify. You're paying more, not because there's less oil, but because Wall Street is betting on oil prices and driving them up. Change number 2, OPEC and geopolitical manipulation. OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, controls about 40% of global oil production. They can decide to produce more or less oil to manipulate prices. When they cut production, prices go up. When they increase production, prices go down. In 1980, OPEC had power, but the global oil market was less interconnected. The U.S. produced more of its own oil. Today, oil is a global market. A refinery fire in Saudi Arabia, a political crisis in Venezuela, a war in the Middle East, all of these events can spike oil prices globally within hours. And it's not just OPEC. Russia is a major oil producer. Political tensions between Russia and the West, sanctions, wars, all of this affects oil prices. The Russia-Ukraine war in 2022 sent gas prices soaring to over $5 per gallon in the U.S., even though the U.S. barely imports Russian oil, because global oil markets are interconnected. Your parents didn't deal with this level of geopolitical volatility affecting their gas prices daily. Today, a tweet from a Middle Eastern leader or a news report about a potential supply disruption can cause gas prices to jump overnight. Change number 3, refinery consolidation and market manipulation. Here's something most people don't know. The U.S. has fewer refineries today than we did in 1980, even though we consume way more gas. In 1980, there were about 300 refineries in the U.S. Today, there are about 130. Why does this matter? Because fewer refineries means less competition and more opportunity for price manipulation. When refineries are consolidated and owned by a handful of massive oil companies, they can control supply to keep prices high. They can schedule maintenance during peak demand seasons to create artificial shortages that spike prices. And they do this. Refinery utilization, which is how much of their capacity they're actually using, rarely hits 100%, even during high demand. They deliberately keep some capacity offline to maintain higher prices. If they produced at full capacity, prices would drop, so they don't. There's also regional manipulation. California has special fuel requirements that only a few refineries can produce, which gives those refineries enormous pricing power. Gas in California is often $1 more per gallon than neighboring states, not because oil costs more in California, but because refineries can charge more due to limited competition. Change number 4, taxes increased dramatically. Federal and state gas taxes have increased significantly since 1980. In 1980, the federal gas tax was 4 cents per gallon. Today, it's 18.4 cents per gallon. State taxes vary widely, but the average state gas tax went from about 7 cents per gallon in 1980 to about 31 cents today. So between federal and state taxes, you're paying about 50 cents per gallon in taxes, compared to about 11 cents in 1980. Adjusted for inflation, taxes are more than double what they were. Now, gas taxes fund roads and infrastructure, which is fine, but the taxes went up while roads and bridges are falling apart, which means the money isn't being spent efficiently. You're paying more in taxes, but getting worse infrastructure. Change number 5, algorithmic pricing and real-time price changes. This is the big one that explains why gas prices change multiple times per day. Gas stations now use algorithmic pricing software that automatically adjusts prices based on local competition, demand patterns, time of day, and profit margins. These algorithms monitor competitor prices in real time and adjust accordingly. If the station across the street raises prices, your station raises prices within minutes. If crude oil prices tick up, gas stations raise prices immediately, even though the gas in their underground tanks was purchased at the old lower price. But when crude oil prices drop, gas stations are slow to lower prices because they want to maximize profit. This creates a ratchet effect. Prices go up fast when costs increase, but come down slow when costs decrease. You lose both ways. And because this is all automated and algorithmic, there's no human decision maker to complain to. It's just a computer program designed to extract maximum revenue. Your parents dealt with humans who set prices maybe once a week based on relatively stable inputs. You're dealing with algorithms that change prices constantly based on hundreds of variables optimized for profit. So let's talk about why gas prices feel so frustrating and why you feel powerless to do anything about it. You can't avoid buying gas. Like other products, most people can't choose not to buy gas. If you live in a city with good public transit, maybe you can avoid it. But most Americans live in car-dependent suburbs and need a car to get to work, get groceries, take kids to school, do basically anything. Oil companies know this. They know demand for gas is inelastic, meaning people will buy it even when prices are high because they have no choice. So there's no real market pressure to keep prices low. They can raise prices and people will grumble, but still buy gas because they have to. Price changes are unpredictable and confusing. You never know if today's price is good or if you should wait. Is gas going up tomorrow or should I wait? There's no transparency. You can check apps and see trends, but ultimately you're guessing. This creates constant low-level stress. Every time you drive past a gas station, you're checking prices, doing mental math, feeling frustrated. Your parents didn't experience this. They just filled up when they needed to, and that was it. The system is rigged against you. When oil prices go up, gas prices at the pump increase within 24 hours. Oil companies say they have to pass on the cost immediately. But when oil prices drop, gas prices at the pump take weeks to come down. Oil companies make excuses about existing inventory and contracts. This is obvious manipulation. They're quick to raise prices and slow to lower them. And there's nothing you can do about it except complain. There's also the fact that oil companies made record profits in recent years while claiming they had to raise prices due to costs. In 2022, when gas prices hit $5 per gallon, ExxonMobil made $56 billion in profit. Chevron made $36 billion. Shell made $40 billion. Record profits while consumers struggled to afford gas. If costs were truly the reason for high prices, profits wouldn't be at record highs. High prices are about maximizing profit, not covering costs.
Let's talk about who benefits from this system and who gets screwed. Who's winning? Oil companies. The 5 largest oil companies made over $200 billion in profit in 2022 alone. Not revenue, profit. After all their costs, they still cleared $200 billion. ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, BP, Total Energies, these companies are making money hand over fist while you're budgeting to afford a tank of gas. Their CEOs make tens of millions per year. Shareholders get massive dividends and stock buybacks. And they do this while paying minimal taxes because of oil industry subsidies and loopholes. The U.S. government gives billions in subsidies to oil companies every year, and they still charge you $4 per gallon while making record profits. Speculators and financial firms. Wall Street makes billions trading oil futures. They don't produce anything. They don't refine anything. They just bet on price movements and extract profit from volatility. Every time gas prices swing wildly, some hedge fund is making money while you're paying more at the pump. Who's losing? You and everyone else. The average American spends about $2,000 to $3,000 per year on gas. For low-income families, it's a higher percentage of income, sometimes 10% or more. That's money that could go to savings, paying off debt, buying better food, literally anything more valuable than burning it in a car engine. Gas prices also affect everything else. When gas prices go up, shipping costs go up, which means prices for goods go up. Inflation in gas prices ripples through the entire economy, so even if you don't drive much, you're still affected through higher prices on everything else. And you have no control. You can't negotiate gas prices. You can't boycott because you need gas. You're stuck paying whatever they charge. So what can you actually do about this? On an individual level. 1. Use gas price apps like GasBuddy to find the cheapest prices nearby. It won't save you a fortune, but if you can save 10 cents per gallon by going to a different station, that's $1.50 per fill-up, which adds up over time. 2. Combine trips to reduce overall driving. Every mile you don't drive is money saved. 3. If possible, consider a more fuel-efficient car. If you're driving a truck that gets 15 miles per gallon and you don't actually need a truck, switching to a sedan that gets 35 miles per gallon cuts your gas costs in half. 4. Work from home if possible. One less commute per week saves significant money. 5. Carpool. Use public transit if it's available. Bike for short trips. Any reduction in gas consumption helps. But realistically, these are band-aids. They help a little, but they don't solve the systemic problem. Systemic solutions. We need better public transit so people aren't forced to drive everywhere. We need to break up oil company monopolies and increase refinery competition. We need regulations against price gouging and speculation. We need transparency in how gas prices are set. We need to end oil subsidies and use that money to transition to renewable energy. But none of this happens without political pressure. Oil companies have massive lobbying power. They donate millions to politicians. They fund think tanks and PR campaigns to protect their profits. Real change requires voters demanding it loudly and consistently. Gas prices went from 86 cents in 1980 to $4 today, and they change constantly not because of supply and demand, but because of speculation, market manipulation, refinery consolidation, and algorithmic pricing designed to maximize profit. Your parents paid about the same percentage of income for gas, but they didn't stress about it because prices were stable. You're paying similar percentages, but it feels way worse because prices swing wildly and you're powerless to do anything about it. Oil companies made $200 billion in profit while you're checking GasBuddy for every fill-up and timing your trips to save a few cents per gallon. The system is designed to extract maximum money from you while keeping you confused and frustrated. If this video helped you understand why gas prices are so volatile, share it with someone who complains every time prices go up. Leave a comment and tell me what gas costs where you live. Are you paying $3.50, $4.50, $5? Let's compare. And subscribe because we're going to keep exposing the economic systems designed to take your money while giving you nothing in return. I'll see you in the next one.